Oh, hi, everybody. It's Ezra Levant here. It's August 17th, 12 noon Eastern Time. What a pleasure to be back in this chair. I was out of town for a week, and I thank all my colleagues for holding the fort while I was away. There's so many things to talk about, not just Canadian news, which we cover a lot, but we also cover UK news, American news, even Australian news. There's even news out of the Middle East these days. Can you believe it? The lion is laying down with the lambs. Israel and the United Arab Emirates are friends now. Looks like other countries like Oman and Bahrain are joining too. I would never have imagined it. And of course, the liberal media doesn't even want to talk about it. I mean, surely Barack Obama, who started so many wars, who got a Nobel Peace Prize, of course he did. Donald Trump, who has started no wars, ended several, and is bringing peace to the Middle East, of course he will not get the Nobel Peace Prize. Are you kidding? But I want to talk a little bit about an interesting little story out of the United States. Maybe some of you have heard of the independent journalist named Millie Weaver. She started her TV career, I think, under the nickname Millennial Millie, because she's a youngster. And I can't claim to know her in a personal way. I just know her like so many other people do. I watch her stuff, and I like what she does. She's telegenic. She's courageous. She's sort of a happy warrior. She's friendly, and people talk to her. And so, I'm just a fan. That's all. But I saw this shocking video of her being arrested at her home with kids there. And I know a little something about how arrests go. I'm a former lawyer myself, and we've had some trouble-making rebels over the years, Tommy Robinson being an obvious example. And I know that unless there's some hot pursuit or something like that, or unless someone is a dangerous, violent criminal who might flee or commit more violence, typically police just call you up and say, hey, can you, as a courtesy, they say, we're going to arrest you. Do you want to come down to the police station? Or do you want to, or they call your lawyer and say, would you like to come in and let's do the paperwork. And they do that typically to avoid embarrassment for the arrested person. Like, you've got to have a mean streak as a cop or a prosecutor to barge into someone at a public restaurant or at their office, or if you watch The Sopranos, at your daughter's wedding. So the idea that they would go to Millie's home and arrest her in front of the kids on a Friday afternoon, so that by the time she's processed, she's in jail all weekend, that was a bunch of prosecutors and police using their discretion to make it as embarrassing and painful as possible. If she were arrested on any other day of the week, she would have been in front of a judge within hours rather than days. And, she's no flight risk. She's got kids and a house. She's not violent at all. The charges have nothing to do, no relation to violence. So I saw this video, and I saw her repeatedly ask the cop, what's going on? What's the charge? What are you doing? And not getting an answer. And it was just so abnormal to me. I felt compelled to do something about it. And I'll tell you what I did in a moment, but first let me play for you at least a portion of the cell phone footage of Millie Weaver's arrest. Take a look at this.
Break.
You're saying a grand jury indicted me? For what?
We're going to have 221s out here. We have room to transport one. Can you send us a car, please? 9107 Yale Road. Okay. I will give you all your paperwork when we get to the jail. Right now, I need you to get some shoes.
Okay.
Because we need to get moving.
Okay.
We need to get this taken care of.
Well, this time you're not going ever back.
Okay.
No.
Guys, I don't know what's happening right now. The police have just showed up at my house, and they said that they're arresting me. They said that a grand jury indicted me for something. I have no idea what. This is crazy. Where's my shoe? I have one shoe here. Okay.
And one shoe there.
Okay.
So we're good.
So why wasn't I given anything in the mail? Like, I have no idea what this is talking about.
Yeah, Millie.
Guys, I'm literally about to
them
break
both.
huge breaking news right now, and I'm
got
being
both of them.
arrested, and I have no
Do
idea
you know anything
why.
about this case?
Burglary?
Yeah.
For what?
They can't say, they won't say.
They're not even saying. They're saying
Okay.
we're being charged
Okay.
with
Now,
burglary?
is this from the grand jury or these green sheets?
Grand jury?
Are these green sheets or are they is this an indictment?
Can you baby guys?
Okay, very good. Okay.
Guys, calm down.
This is my son right now.
All right.
Buddy,
Come on, let's go. To the car. I've been more than nice. To the car.
I don't understand what's
Thank you.
happening right now. Like, please share.
I've been more than nice. Really? So you go to a woman's home and you arrest her in front of her kids, and that's being more than nice. Now, you did hear a burglary charge. Now, I'm not going to try and get into the substance or the merits of the claim, of the action. I just don't have the facts in front of me. I understand that today the matter will go before court in Ravenna, Ohio. Millie was arrested, and I understand Gavin, her common law spouse, was arrested as well. And the kids were placed, I think, with one of the grandparents. I was advised that at 11 a.m. today, so about an hour ago, juvenile court started to sit in Ohio to determine the what will happen to the kids. But how can you do that if the mom and dad are still in jail? Now, apparently later today they'll have their arraignment. But why would you do juvenile court first when you don't know if the parents are good? It's a lot of curious things. Now, I'm not an expert in Ohio law. I'm a former lawyer, but a Canadian lawyer. So I know there's a few things here that are sketchy from my point of view. But it seems to me, or at least it certainly seemed to me just watching that video, that things here are irregular. I'm not necessarily saying illegal, but to arrest a mom in front of her kid when that mom is not a flight risk and clearly not a danger to herself or others, that is a choice. That's a choice. And why was that choice made? Well, Millie is a conservative journalist, a skeptic, a dissident, and she released a YouTube documentary about the U.S. government on that same day. Some people are connecting the two. I have no idea. The nature of the charges do not seem to be associated with the content of the video, but is the timing, is the manner of the arrest? I don't know. And over the weekend, people were asking me, well, what about the charges? They don't seem to be political in nature. You heard the word burglary, and I heard some different explanations and excuses, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to get into the substance of it. I'm going to focus on one thing only. Let's get Millie a legal defense fund, because unless she is independently wealthy, and I don't think she is, getting lawyers to help her, her common law husband, her kids, I just know that's going to be tens of thousands of dollars. I just know it. And so I called some of Millie's friends and colleagues. I don't know Millie, I don't have a personal connection with Millie, but I know we have friends in common. And I called them up on Friday and I said, what are you guys doing? Are you going to do a crowdfund? Da, da, da. And none of them really were. And I'm not going to judge that. I mean, maybe they don't know how to do it. Maybe they didn't want the notoriety or the publicity. So I called 2 or 3 people. And they said no, and I said, well, fine, I'll do it. It's very easy to set up a crowdfunding page, actually. Now I'm based in Toronto, Canada, so unfortunately the rules of GoFundMe is that the crowdfund has to be set up in Canadian currency. So, but other than that one wrinkle, there's really no reason why anyone in the world couldn't set up a crowd fund for Millie Weaver. So I did that at about 3 o'clock Pacific time. I was out west on Friday, and I'm very pleased that over the weekend, look at that, $152,000. Now that's Canadian mini bucks, but that's still more than $100,000 US. So I'm very pleased with that. And GoFundMe, well, that's a lot of dough coming in, so they asked me some questions. You want to click on the update. GoFundMe said, well, we're going to ask you to clarify who you are and what's going on, because we're getting a lot of dough. So just click read more. So they said, can you give more information? Who are you? Where are you from? What's your relationship to the parties you're raising funds for? How will the funds be used? Be specific. If you intend to withdraw the money, how you plan to send the funds to the parties you're raising? So yeah, read some more. So I'll just skip to point 4. Ideally, I will assign the ability to withdraw funds to Millie herself or to any designate she directs me to do. For example, her lawyer. This is a GoFundMe function. I have been trying to find out if she is a lawyer already or other information. From what I understand, she's in jail until Monday, but I hope that changes. Any other questions, feel free to contact me, but there's really not more to it. I do not have any reliable information about the charges against her, but that's irrelevant to me. I don't like how she was arrested and know that she'll need help covering legal bills and other expenses. So that's what I wrote on Friday afternoon. It's now Monday early afternoon. I just got a phone call earlier this morning from family friend Matt, who's been working all weekend. I talked to him several times this weekend, trying to put together some lawyers on the weekend ready to take the case today in both juvenile court and the criminal side. Just trying to sort fact from fiction. Again, I don't really have an appetite to get into either the details of her YouTube video documentary, which came out on Friday, or the nuts and bolts of the charges against her. I don't really want to go there. I don't have a deep background on that. Like I say, I was motivated by that very upsetting video of her being arrested in front of her kids. It seems like if a liberal journalist were arrested in the same manner, that happened to coincide with a edgy documentary on the left, it seems to me that would be national news. The ACLU would be there with pro bono lawyers. The New York Times would talk about how evil Donald Trump shutting down the free press or whatever. And I felt frustrated that this young woman, and I don't know her financial circumstance, but I don't know anyone who can take a 20, 30, 40 grand hit for legals. I'm delighted to say that we've raised over 150 Canadian, but that's still over 100 US. So as I indicated in the note there, I will transfer the funds to Millie. Now, of course, Millie has been incommunicado. She has been in jail. Now, she's had some phone calls, but obviously those phone calls have been used to ascertain the whereabouts and the condition of her kids, to talk to her close friends, and to talk to Matt, who has been working on getting the legals in place. So I've tried not to meddle too much because I don't really have standing. I'm not a family member. I can't. She's not an employee or anything. Our reporters sometimes get into legal trouble in their course of duties for us, so I just go ahead and make all the decisions because I'm the boss. But I'm not the boss here, so I am restricting my role to that of crowdfunder. I've given a little bit of gentle legal advice to Matt, who's on the ground there in Ohio, but I'm not going to tell him what to do. He's the guy dealing with the realities. I gave him some thoughts. The main one is don't let the lawyers take all the money. But getting Millie and her common law husband out of jail is job one. And it's going to cost some money. So when Millie communicates with me, and I've told Matt and her other friends, I've given them my contact info. When she gets out, obviously she's going to want to first check on our kids, talk to the lawyers, etc. But when she has a moment, I've asked them to get her to contact me so I can get her banking information, so I can set her up to be the person who has the sole authority to withdraw the funds. So my ideal outcome would be that she would withdraw the funds directly. I've done this before, by the way. I don't know if you know, about a month or so ago, another American journalist, another independent alternative citizen journalist named Cassandra Fairbanks, who was then based in Washington, D.C. She had another unfortunate circumstance that didn't involve the cops, it involved the bad guys, Antifa, who doxed her house and started harassing her house, and she's got a little one also. So I put together a little crowdfund campaign for Cassandra Fairbanks to get her a new place. So I've worked with GoFundMe several times successfully, and I've worked with other crowdfunding engines like Indiegogo. I'm trying to remember. We do a lot of crowdfunding ourselves at Rebel News, so I've done this before. The best way to do it is to get the donee, that is the beneficiary of the funds, to get them to get all the passwords really, so they just download the money directly and you don't even have to touch it. So I'll do that when I finally make contact with Millie, but like I say, she's obviously have more urgent people to talk to than me. Or I just sent a note to Matt, who's on the ground there. I said, look, if you guys actually need the dough today, I don't know if there's a bond or bail or whatever, but let's say they need 10 grand or 20 grand or 30 grand. Well, we know we have 150 grand coming less GoFundMe's fees, so we know it's coming. That just takes a number of days. So if they need, I'm just going to make up a number, if they need 20 grand to get Millie out of court today, I said to Matt that we here at Rebel News would just advance the funds to the law firm, knowing that we would get access to the GoFundMe money in a few days or a week. So I don't want Millie to have to wait for GoFundMe to release the dough. So I just, in fact, just about an hour ago, I texted Matt and I said, here's our general, yesterday I said, here's our general counsel, Aaron Rosenberg, he can help with any legal documents. And I said, if we need to advance funds, we can actually do that today. We can send funds from Rebel News to the law firm down there, or heck, even to the court. So my goal is just to get Millie and her family out of jail, transfer the funds to them, and then my role is sort of over because I don't have a strong connection here. I'm just a fan. And I want to show you a little bit because I know some people know who she is, and other people are saying, who are you talking about? Who do you mean? Well, let me show you one of my favorite, I mean, there's a lot of really fun vids. One of the things I like is she is not afraid to go up to, frankly, leftists who are shouting and just put the mic to them and say, what do you mean? And she's got a good humor, and it's one of the reasons I think people like her. Take a look.
Get out of the way. Dude. You're pushing. Get out of the way. NYPD, KKK. How many kids have you killed today?
Let us not go back to before slavery. Let us not go back to the massacre of the Native Americans. Let's move forward. We've come too far to go back.
These first actions should involve as many people as we can mobilize in the short time that we have to start amassing in cities and towns across the country on the next Saturday, October 26th, and then to do so for 4 consecutive Saturdays through November 6th.
Hey, let's fast forward to the Millie part. Like you could see she's on the street, she's not afraid to go to things, but I just want to show her in action. You know, if you go to her Twitter feed and then just click on media, she's got some really good, in fact, was there one where she went to the anti-Trump folks, brought one of those protesters over to the Trump people. He was very friendly received, and then she tried the thing in reverse. I don't know if you know what I mean. So anyway, you could see that Millie's not afraid to go right into the news there, but I want to show her in action, not just her work. So anyway, let me know when you get that, but I'll just start reading some of the super chats. I want to say, if you want to donate money to Millie Weaver's Legal Defense Fund, go to the GoFundMe page. Can we put a link to that if we haven't already? Okay, so there's a link here. So just to explain how this works, we do something called super chats on these live streams. So it's a chat, but you can put a few bucks behind your comment, and it'll put it in a bright color, and I'll see it out of the corner of my eye. I got my laptop open here. So that dough, 30% of it goes to YouTube. They take a huge commission. The other 70% gets paid to us monthly. I mean, we're demonetized as much as every conservative site. So that's a Rebel donation. So please do that if you want to help the Rebel. If you want to help Millie, go to the GoFundMe. And I forget what GoFundMe's take is. It's a lot less than 30%. They take their cut, and then the rest I'll just transfer to Millie or her designate. And she'll have legal expenses and other expenses. Who knows? So that's all her business. We'll just give her all that dough. And I'm excited that last I checked, it was over 150. So I just want to make that clear about where the two pots of dough go. If you're giving to a super chat, that's going to Rebel News. We get paid that monthly. If you're giving to the GoFundMe, that's going 100% of the proceeds to Millie as soon as I get her banking information and can transfer that to her. As I mentioned, I have said to Matt, the family friend, that if they need an emergency advance to pay bail, we'll do that too. We got a clip from Millie. Okay, let's take a look.
It's ironic because these far leftists hate the police. They even spoke about how they hated the police, and yet this kind police officer is escorting them through the streets of New York, making sure that people make way for them as they march.
Puerto Rico, show this house. Hands out now. Puerto Rico, show this.
Why do you want to impeach Trump?
I want to drive the Trump-Pence regime from power because they pose catastrophic danger to humanity and the planet.
What catastrophic danger do they pose?
They are setting a fire to the planet. They are caging children.
Are they committing arson?
Folks, you got to get on the sidewalk. Folks, make your way to the sidewalk. Folks,
They are pouring fuel on global climate change as the planet burns.
Why do you want to impeach Trump?
I want 4-year-olds to not vomit blood.
I like her style. Can you go through her Twitter feed? There's some fun ones. Maybe I'm misremembering, but she had one about a month ago where she did sort of an experiment. I think that was Millie, where she brought some anti-Trump protester to the Trump side, and he was sort of shocked by how friendly they were. I think that was Millie Weaver. Maybe I'm mixing up my independent journalist, but that wasn't bad. She was just doing some questions there. But can you grab me another video clip from her Twitter feed? In the meantime, let me read some super chats. Pink Phoenix Nails, $2. Save Millie. Millie Weaver's in jail for Shadowgate. Well, it's certainly quite conspicuous, the timing of the charges. And don't tell me that someone who's arrested in an embarrassing way at home on a Friday so that they're held over the weekend in jail. Don't tell me that's an accident. I know that's not an accident. That was a decision made by the police. I don't like that decision. Coy, $10. Welcome back, Ezra. Please stay a while this time. August has been an unprecedented Ezra famine. A famine, I tell you. You know what? I'm done traveling till Christmas. Viking Insane, $2. Why, when you support affirmative action, you get Kamala Harris? You know, she did get into law school, I understand, through affirmative action, so there's some truth there. Ferris Bueller, $5. Wexit, conservatives must segregate and unite in some form demographically in Canada and the USA to preserve freedom. Wexit. I think it's partly geographic. I think the left-wing urban cities with, you know, the riots are very different than the small town and rural parts of the continent. I think it's the same in both Canada and the United States that way. MVP, $5 Australian. Australia's lockdown is making the rest of the world look good. I hope things don't get as bad in Canada. You know, I did a show about 2 weeks ago on the lockdown in the Australian state of Victoria. Just shocking. Now New Zealand is going one better. They've had a few cases, like a handful. and they've actually postponed their elections. Isn't that sort of a dictatorship? It's crazy. Ferris Bueller, $20, cash from Millie. Well, look, we're helping Millie in the best way we can. We've raised over 150 grand for her. But let me say, as I said before, if you want to donate to Millie, do it at the GoFundMe page, which was linked below. Please do, and we've had some amazing donations there. Seth Terrio, $5 for Millie, same comment. Rusty Peterson, $21. Ezra, you're a hero for standing up for Millie and her family. Look, I want to say again, I don't have a connection here other than I'm a fan. I made a few phone calls. I'm not going to say to who because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But I made some calls and say, hey, you want to just set up a GoFundMe? And I would have preferred they do it because they have a stronger connection to her. And because I'm a Canadian citizen and I don't have a U.S. bank account or anything like that, the GoFundMe had to be set up in Canadian denominated currency. So maybe we would have raised a bit more if it was in U.S. currency. I don't know. But it's been a huge success, and I look forward to getting Millie's banking info and transferring that. Let me catch up here. Reddy Smith, $5. I hope this helps Millie. Well, we are doing what we can. If you donate to the GoFundMe, your money will go to Millie's legal expenses. I don't know if there's a bail or a bond. I'm not as familiar with U.S. law, obviously, as I am with Canadian law, but I have spoken with Matt, who's working the legal strategy down there. So, in fact, I'm going to check, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to check my phone here, just because I told Matt to keep me posted. Heading to juvenile court now. Okay, so I don't have the latest from Matt, who's at the court, other than I think the juvenile court is in session. They're probably taking a lunch break. But what's the time zone for Ohio? Is that Central Time or is that Eastern Time? Central Time. Okay, so, yeah, you know what? Sheila, I'm so glad that Sheila connected and was there this weekend. We had a meeting this morning and Sheila gave us an update on what it was like. Sounds amazing. So Sheila's working on editing that footage right now. I think people are going to love it. I'm very excited to see it myself. Jimmy James, $5. Where are Rebel News on Streamlabs? I don't know. I don't quite know what you mean by that, and I'm sorry, I don't. Wanda Granada, $5. Thank you. Trish Bulmer, $10. Do you think right-minded views may someday soon be considered hate speech? Shadowgate has been removed from some channels on YouTube already due to violating YouTube's terms for hate speech. Now, Shadowgate is the documentary that Millie was working on and that was released the day of her arrest. And so, like I say, a number of people have made the connection. And I can assure you that if a liberal journalist had released a scathing liberal documentary against Trump and was arrested that same day in an embarrassing and cryptic manner in front of her family, I can assure you that all the fancy people at the New York Times and whatnot would be all over it. Now, the New York Times has, in fact, been over this. Can you go to Twitter, go to Davey Alba. It's twitter.com/DAVEYALBA. DAVEYALBA. The New York Times has been following Millie's case obsessively. I can't even believe it. And I actually didn't even believe this was a real New York Times reporter because she was so childish and troll-like. I thought, no, this is someone who's just joking about being, no. So Davey Alba, can you find that? And just click tweets and replies, and let's scroll through it. I want to show you how obsessed. Yeah, so here she says, there's a new viral video rife with misinformation that posted on Friday. Just first go up to Davey Alba and just show Davey Alba. And yeah, just click on her photo there. So this is Davey Alba wearing a mask, of course, very compliant. And then go back to her bio. New York Times reporter for tech, disinformation, etc. So her job is, you got to wonder, is she the source of disinformation, or is she reporting on? Now scroll up a little bit. What's that little banner? your company sucks, go work for a real effing paper like Epoch Times. So obviously someone has criticized her, and you can see that, you know, her job is to call other people liars. That's what disinformation is. So you see that tweet she made 23 hours ago. There's a new viral video with misinformation that posted on Friday, and as of this morning has 1.3 million views. No, I'm not posting it. Oh, I thought you were in the news business. It centers around an interview with recently arrested InfoWars correspondent Millie Weaver. This is just the first minute of the dialogue, and then she quotes it. And then go back up for a second, go back up. YouTube told me the company removed the video for violating its community guidelines, and that's what this commenter means. Hate speech. I watched the first 30 seconds of it. I didn't go any deeper. Hate speech, really? Go back to, I want to show you a little bit more of Davey Alba, because this is a New York Times reporter. So scroll down a bit. Hate speech. It's all honestly very ad hoc and opaque. Yeah, exactly. Is that really hate speech? Scroll down a little more. To be clear, QAnon is largely behind the spread of this video. How do you know? Oh, there we go. Meanwhile, here's Ezra Levant's GoFundMe for Millie Weaver. It's broken the 100,000 level now. Oh, can you click on show this thread? Can you go up there a little bit, right above there? Show replies, like, yeah. Oh, Ezra, there. Ezra Levant, the organizer of the Millie Weaver Emergency Defense Legal Fund, it's actually the Emergency Legal Defense Fund, helped raise $25,000 for right-wing provocateur Cassandra Fairbanks after she claimed she was attacked by Antifa with guns and fireworks in June. RWW found no evidence. Okay, well, just hold there for a second. You can call Cassandra Fairbanks a right-wing provocateur. I mean, that's your opinion. But she's actually a journalist for Gateway Pundit. So the fact that Davey Alba of the New York Times chooses not to call her a journalist and instead calls her a right-wing provocateur, I actually find her left-wing on certain issues, ranging from vegetarianism to Julian Assange. But hey, fill your boots. This is the New York Times in troll mode. And there was plenty of evidence that she was harassed at home. Again, she says RWW found no evidence. Why don't they call RWW left-wing provocateurs? They're a bought and paid for Soros front to smear conservatives. Shows you where Davey Alba's coming from. And then they're obsessed with the fact that we have a legal defense fund for Millie Weaver. And then I was just sort of sick of her, so I blocked her. Ha! Okay, Ezra Levant's blocked me. Also, the GoFundMe is down $111,000. It goes on and on and on and on and on. This Davey Alba is a New York Times reporter who is not only obsessed with Millie Weaver, and that's fine, but she's obsessed with demonizing Millie Weaver, anyone associated with her. And look, I really watched 30 seconds of the YouTube vid that Millie uploaded on Friday. I just didn't have time. Maybe I'll watch the rest of it later. My support for Millie Weaver is not based on that video. I haven't watched it. It's, as I showed you, the method and madness of her arrest. And I believe that a journalist who's arrested should have a legal defense fund. I've done that before. You may know that a couple years ago I really went to bat for an old buddy of mine who used to be an employee here, Tommy Robinson, who was arrested in the United Kingdom and actually put in solitary confinement for weeks for a journalistic crime. So it's sort of what we do here. I was joking in this morning's meeting, this is the fourth journalist that we've helped bail out of jail. Now normally, if it's a liberal journalist, the ACLU is all over it and gets a pro bono lawyer or crowd funds or whatever. But why is it when there's a journalist who's a right-wing provocateur? I don't even think Millie's a provocateur. I think she's pretty friendly, actually, just judging by her vids. I'll show you another vid in about a minute. But is Is the New York Times obsessed with our GoFundMe because they don't think a journalist should have a lawyer? I mean, I have not gotten into the weeds of the charges against her or the evidence against her. I'm not there in Ohio. I'm not there in the court. I mean, as instinctively, I don't like a mom being separated from her kids. Instinctively, I don't like what I saw in that arrest video, and I gave you my thoughts about the timing and method of that arrest. But I haven't gotten in the weeds there. I haven't gotten in the weeds about her YouTube video. I just think a young reporter, especially one who's independent, should have a lawyer in court. Is that a crazy idea? It seems to me a pretty American idea that everyone should have a lawyer in court, not just for them, but for the system to work. You don't want to railroad people just because they can't afford a lawyer. Let's get a really good lawyer. So why is Davy Alba of the New York Times obsessed? Like again and again and again and again. Oh, so she was ranting about it. She was like a troll. That's why I didn't think she was really a New York Times reporter, because she was so cavalier and juvenile and did not govern herself as a grown-up, really. Like, why are you just emoting and ranting and blogging like you're a freshman in college who's discovered, Tumblr or something? What are you doing? And why are you mad that a reporter has a lawyer? Are you saying that only reporters you agree with should have a lawyer when they're charged with some crime? Like, why are you mad, Davey? Why are you mad that? Like, I don't even get it. If the New York Times wants to come out and say, we don't believe conservative journalists should have a lawyer when they're in court, then come out and say that. That's not a liberal position. That's an illiberal position. That's a fascist position. Like, that's something that, Francisco Franco might say. Oh, you're an enemy of the people, no lawyer for you. That's something the Red Guards would say. But that's not something a liberal newspaper would say. So I don't get it. I blocked Davy Alba because I was just sick of her. Like, it was just endless, like ping, ping, ping. It was like, notice me. Hey, guys, notice me. Or something. Or maybe it was the opposite. It was shut them down, shut them down. I saw some leftists saying, shut this down. What? Why? You don't think a mom should have a lawyer? I don't know. Okay, let me get back to the Super Chats. It's 12:38. I am going to talk about other things, but it's been on my mind, this whole crowdfund, because it's a very, very successful crowdfund, which tells me a lot of people are worried. A lot of people are worried. Abu Bakr Al Puff Daddy, $25. Welcome back, Ezra. 3 years ago, you and the Rebel went through some dark days after Charlottesville and with staffing issues. I'm so grateful that the Rebel is stronger than ever. What lessons have you learned from that time? Well, it's funny you say that, because I think it's the 3-year anniversary of the Troubles, as I call them. What lessons have we learned from that time? Not to read the script handed to you by your opponents. We know who we are. We always knew who we were. Just because 30 screaming media party banshees said, you're racist, you're this, it's not true. In fact, we are more racially and ethnically and religiously diverse than the Canadian population proportionately. If you count that sort of thing, and I don't particularly do, but there's no way I'm going to, for example, Wendy Mesley of the CBC was one of our denouncers then. She got fired because she was dropping the N-word like confetti. N-word for you, like Oprah giving away cars. Here's an N-word for you. Here's an N-word for you. I mean, can you imagine actually taking moral advice from N-bomb dropping Wendy Mesley or the rest of the media party? So one of the things I've learned is know who you are. And if you're comfortable with who you are, and if you are proud of who you are, don't bend the knee to some harpies on the left. I think in some ways, we overreacted to what the Mean Girls said about us. But people know us for our work. I was just looking through our stats the other day. On YouTube, since we were born, we've had 540 million views, 3 billion impressions with a B. That's just on YouTube. That's not even Facebook, Twitter, Instagram now. So people know us for our work. I think we're at, what, 14,000 videos now? So because one staffer went rogue, does that in some way taint the other 14,399 projects we've done? No. And people are grateful that we're around. We have a larger subscription base now than ever. Now that Justin Trudeau has colonized Canada's newspapers with a $600 million bailout, the distinction between the few remaining journalists and the media party is more stark than ever. I think we've learned to toughen up a bit. We're more litigious. We fight for our freedoms more. We don't just take a punch without punching back. And we've learned that if we keep doing the right thing, people will support us. As I did an interview with Candace Malcolm the other day. I don't know if she's posted it yet. I mentioned that troublesome month of August 2017 was actually the month in that year that our viewers were the most generous towards us. As in they said, okay, you had a bump in the road, but we don't want the rebel to go away. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but those are some of the thoughts I had. Ferris Bueller, $5. Hopefully Tucker Carlson, Fox News will pick up Millie's story and your great reporting. Thank you, Rebel News Daily. Well, thank you. Peter Mannion, MP, $25. Keep up the good work. Keep fighting the good fight, Ezra. You guys are a beacon of light in these dark times. Well, thank you very much for saying that. I just typed in Peter Mannion, MP, because if that is the Peter Mannion MP, then I think that is actually an MP from the United Kingdom. And if that's you, I thank you very much for watching. It's I don't know if that's a legit account or just someone because we have a lot of people using pen names. But if that is you, thank you very much and welcome to the show. Mark, $5. Red Deer, Alberta City Council's agenda for 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time today is for all 3 readings of the mandatory mask bylaw. Wow. That's pretty incredible. I mean, the pandemic was declared in Alberta, I think on March 17th. I'd have to check the date. It was around that period of time. So that means it's exactly March, April, May, June, July, August, exactly 5 months ago today, right? So 5 months, so that's 150 days ago, approximately. And it's over, by the way, statistically speaking. Can you go to COVID-19 Alberta stats? And can you find me a graph of cases? You know, the kind of stuff I like to look at. Let's see if Justin can find the stats. You know what? Without even checking, I know that in Red Deer, Central Alberta, the virus cases are probably close to 0. I doubt in the city of Red Deer, I doubt there's even 5 people in hospital, let alone anyone in intensive care, let alone anyone dying. So 5 months, 150 days after the pandemic. So Central Zone, can you zoom in a little bit there? Central Zone would be Red Deer. So you've got 81 active cases, you got 4 in hospital, what did I say, 5? And you have had, no one's in intensive care, and over the 5 months, you've had 6 people pass away. And I'm very sorry that they passed away, but that is less than the number of people in Red Deer who die any year from the flu. So I'm sorry for those 6 departed. Sorry for the 4 people in hospital. But the idea of bringing in a mask bylaw, oh my God, we got to rush it through. We have to have all 3 readings of the law done today because it's so important. You see, folks, science says we need the bylaw on day 151, not on day 152. Medical science says. What a crock. Goes to show you that even in one of the most right-wing parts of the world, Red Deer, Alberta, city politics is run by New Democrats. Sandy Stamps, $5. Shadowgate is the reason Millie is being arrested. They had just uploaded it, and then the cops were there to arrest her. It's the deep state. I don't know if that's true or not. I think some of that truth will come out, perhaps even today in court. As I said before, if you put the shoe on the other foot, I always like to say, what would happen if it was the other side? So you're saying Millie was arrested because simultaneous to her arrest, she was rolling out a politically charged documentary that YouTube has deleted as well, which is suspicious. Tell me the last time YouTube has deleted a left-wing documentary. Hate speech, like I say, I only watched the first opening clips, but I don't believe Millie Weaver would have produced hate speech. I just don't think they did. I think that's just, hate speech is what the left calls speech that they hate. That's hate speech. No, it's not. You just hate it. So I don't know if there's a connection between the documentary and the arrest. But I know if this were Michael Moore coming out with a new anti-Trump documentary, and the day he was coming out with it, he was arrested on a cryptic charge that was by a secret grand jury and arrested in front of his family and embarrassed. Oh yeah, I think there might be a headline or two in the New York Times other than, how come they're crowdfunding his legal defense? New York Times would have crowdfunded his legal defense. Not a bad account, $2. Aren't there limits to what the press can publish? Yeah, there are some limits. But in the United States in particular, they have the First Amendment, which says Congress shall not abridge the freedoms of the press. In Canada, it's Section 2 of our Charter of Rights called Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. So there are some limits, but in Canada, the phrase is only those reasonably justifiable in a free and democratic society. So you can't infringe someone's freedoms lightly. People are allowed to have wrong opinions. They're allowed to say things that are wrong. Because, by the way, who's to know what is right and wrong unless we have right and wrong quarrel and let truth and falsehood grapple? Toys are for boys, $6.66. Police showed up at my house this morning to take away my grenade launcher that Trudeau banned. Guess they didn't get the memo. I had it deactivated. Well, I don't know if that's satire or not, but there you go. MEC, $3. Welcome back. Rebel is superb. Thank you. Well, you know, credit to our team who did such a great job in my absence anyways. All right, so it's 12:40. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send a text to, I'm just going to say any news, because Matt, who is a family friend and advisor to Millie and her common law husband, who's just been really working all weekend. I've been in touch with him a number of times all weekend. He's trying to find lawyers. He's trying to deal with the criminal side, with the juvenile side. So much going on. So he's at the courthouse. I just texted him any news, and I see him writing back to me right now. So when he's done typing that, I'll let you know what he says. Oh yeah, that's right. We got this fun video. Oh, let me just read this. Oh, thank God. Look at this. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Millie, Gavin, and Chuck all are being released this afternoon. The kids will stay with Millie and Gavin. Everybody should be reunited by dinner. All great news. Just finished speaking with the attorneys a few minutes ago. Thanks. Isn't that amazing? You just heard it live. Let me read it again. This is from Matt. I'm not going to say his last name. He's a family friend and advisor to Millie and her husband, and he's literally at the court right now. And I just texted him. I just said, any news? And he wrote, Millie, Gavin, and Chuck all are being released this afternoon. Here, I'm gonna screenshot this, and I'm gonna send this to you if you wanna put it on the screen. There's no sensitive phone numbers on it, no. Everybody should be reunited by dinner. All great news. Just finished speaking with the attorneys a few minutes ago. Thanks. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? What a good ending to a strange and troubling story. Now, obviously, it's not an ending. It's an ending to the juvenile court. I was confused by the fact that this is great news. I want to tweet it. Do you mind if I tweet it? Breaking: Millie Weaver to be released this afternoon, along with her, and to be reunited with her kids. Well, I just wanted to tweet that. I just wanted to tweet that because that, can you believe it? That just happened right now. I had a very, very small role to play in this, but 2,600 people had a large role to play in this. And I'm talking about you to anyone who was a donor to the Legal Defense Fund. So I look forward to talking to Millie today once she's had a chance to commiserate, catch up with her family, talk to her lawyers, take care of things, and has a spare moment, and we'll get the dough over to her right away. Did you get the text I sent you? Do we put it on the screen? Can you pump that up a bit? So I literally just got this. Millie Gavin, that's her common law spouse, and Chuck, that's brother, all are being released this afternoon. The kids will stay with Millie and Gavin. Everybody should be reunited by dinner. All great news. Just finished speaking with the attorneys a few minutes ago. Thanks. That is very exciting. Very exciting. You know, and I don't have a standing here. I'm not a family friend, not a work colleague, but I must say it has been satisfying to help raise funds to undo what certainly felt like an improper arrest handled improperly. Boy, isn't that exciting. Another super chat by Mark, $5. Red Deer, Alberta. Alberta's Central Zone has 30 hospitals. 4 are hospitalized. 1 patient per 7.5 hospitals. Yeah, exactly. Camilla Zapolsky, $10. Ezra, how much Canadian dollars do I donate to Millie if I want to send $100 US? You can go to Google and just type in $100 US equals CAD, C-A-D. I think it's, I hear in my ear it's $1.32. So unfortunately, if you were to give $100 Canadian, it would only be like 75 US. So if you gave 132 Canadian, it would be $100 US. What's it at? What's that at? Can you go to the GoFundMe page? I'm curious. 154,000. You know, I feel like doing an update right now, but almost at $155,000. You know, I don't want to do it right now when I don't want to make typos. If I Twitter right now or do an update right now, I'm sure I'll make a typo. I do this show every 3 times a week from Monday, Wednesday, Friday from noon to 1 Eastern time. So it's 12:54. We really didn't have a chance to talk about much other things, and there's no point in getting into a new storyline right now. But I will end with, I will actually. Because I've told you my news on Millie. Isn't that a great way to end the show? Isn't that great? Ha! You know, my kids were excited about this. They didn't understand. And there's something very fulfilling about trying to make a difference on free speech. And here at Rebel News, that's sort of our MO. I don't know if you know that for my American viewers who are just joining us. I want to let you know that fighting for free speech is something we take very seriously here. I mentioned earlier that we really went to bat for Tommy Robinson in the United Kingdom. And a lot of folks said, Ezra, what are you doing fighting for a journalist in the UK? We have problems here too. Well, freedom of speech is a universal battle. And frankly, we want to fight for it everywhere. And we can learn a lot from what's happening to Tommy. What happens to Tommy today happens here tomorrow, happens in the US the next day. So I would even say to my American friends, your First Amendment, don't take it for granted. You've got to fight for it. You know, my old friend John O'Sullivan always had a saying which I loved. He would say, it's easier to fight in the first ditch than in the last ditch. Do you know what I mean by that? Fight for free speech when you see that little weed of censorship just sprouting up out of the ground. You got to fight for it then. Don't wait till the weeds have filled up the garden. And so, and there's one more thing. Mark Stein makes this point too, because he was the target of censors. The people who are targeted for censorship are not the perfect people. We didn't show that second Millie clip, did we? Let's stand by on that. That's a good way to end it. I mean, Millie's pretty nice. But, you know, I was targeted, Tommy was targeted, Mark Stein was targeted. You know, there's a lot to criticize in me, Tommy, Mark Stein, etc. We're not the perfect people, because if we were perfect people, we wouldn't be charged with censorship. They're going to come for the unlikable, the annoying, the obstreperous, the offensive people first, obviously, to build up the precedents, to build up the case law, to build up the momentum. It's like censorship on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube. They go for the extreme case. Oh, no one would defend them. Well, and once they knock them out, then they go for the slightly less, and they move like rings of a bullseye. And so in the free speech battles, you often find yourself defending the freedom of speech of someone that occasionally say, oh, I don't agree with everything he said, like Alex Jones. Alex Jones is a very divisive character. I happen to think he's got a wonderful storytelling ability, great sense of humor. I think on a lot of things he's, I mean, let me just say two words, Jeffrey Epstein, who was on that file before anyone else. But they didn't come for him first, right? They came for neo-Nazis first and whatever. And maybe that's maybe you don't want neo-Nazis on your system. Fair enough. But if you start moving in and in and in and in further and further and further, and then you ban Alex Jones, and then who's left after a while? And like I say, all the censorship seems to be on the right. I've never seen censorship on the left in the same way. I've never seen a left-wing documentary. There's some very hateful stuff on the left. I'm not calling for it to be censored, but you notice it's only the right that is censored. So standing up for free speech when it's slightly uncomfortable, I think you have to do that, or it's too late. So that's one of the things we do at Rebel News, and we in fact litigate proactively. We have 2 lawsuits against our own Prime Minister for censoring us. So it's been a real pleasure to have a small role to play here. Well, I can hardly wait to call Matt, who's the Weaver family friend who's down there, and get the latest and find out what the terms of the release were. I'm just going to ask him one more thing while you're watching, because I got a question, which is, do you need bail money? What were the terms? I'm curious, because if it's all set, and by the way, the fact that they're being released apparently so easily tells me there was no need to hold them all weekend, was there? Right? Again, I don't know the bail and bond laws of the United States, but I'm a former lawyer in Canada. And the 2 tests are, is there a flight risk? As in, is this person going to skip town and not show up for their day in court? Well, she's a mom of 2 kids. She ain't running to Venezuela. And the second is she a danger? Obviously not. So any judge, unless there were some extreme shenanigans, would have let her out almost immediately. So the fact, you know what, let me just take this call. Matt, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Listen, do you mind if I throw you on Skype, or do you not want to appear in public? Because I'm talking to 2,000 friends.
I'm actually driving in the car right now. I'm actually driving.
Okay. Well, I won't put you on Skype then, but tell me just verbally over the phone, and I'll repeat it if you don't mind. I saw your very encouraging text that everyone's going to be out this afternoon and reunited with the family. That's amazing. Matt, I want to thank you in particular. You've stick-handled this whole thing over the weekend. Can you give me any details that I can share publicly?
Yeah, I mean, so they're going to be released today.
They're going to be released today, yeah.
The kids are going to be remaining
The kids will remain with Gavin and Millie. That's great. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, so everything should kind of be, they should be together by probably dinner time tonight.
Should be together by dinner time tonight. Great. Yeah, keep going.
And that's kind of what we know for right this instant. So I guess the takeaway is the best case scenario happened.
Good.
And that's great as far as round one, which is just, getting Gavin, Millie, and Chuck out and getting them reunited with the kids.
That's great. Do you guys need any? Do you need any dough in terms of bail or anything like that? Is there a financial element here?
Luckily, we do not for right now.
You don't. That's very good to hear.
For right now, we were able to get that. So we will be in touch on the other front to, fund attorneys and get that stuff squared away, because this is kind of now like let the games begin with
Right. Right.
address and such. But that'll be in the next couple of days with their counsel. Yes, Tori's here with me too.
Great, Matt. I'm going to sign off, and I'll call you back a little bit later when I'm not on air, because we can have a more confidential conversation. But let me just say, on behalf of the 2,600 folks that chipped in to the Legal Defense Fund, Matt, they may never know your name and what you did this weekend, but I know, and I know that you were a key reason why they will be having dinner at home with their kids tonight. So, on behalf of the 2,600 folks that chipped in, thank you.
Thank you. You were the money guy. I was doing some of the grunt work with legal counsel, and Tori was public relations.
Well, that's a team effort. Well, I'm sure Millie and Gavin and the family have more pressing things to do, but when they have a spare moment, they can reach out to me and we'll set up the bank transfer information, because I know there's bills to pay, and like as you just said, this is just round one, and round two's yet to come. So I'll sign off now, Matt. Congratulations, and what a happy way to hear the news. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Ezra.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Well, there you go. He was in the car and he couldn't join via Skype. I don't know if you heard enough of that, but basically he just confirmed what he put in his text message to me. It sounds like they do not need the financial advance. And again, why would you? Oh my God, Millie is a hardened criminal. She's going to fly in a private jet to, where do they not have an extradition treaty with America? Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, whatever. No, of course not. So it sounds good. I was really worried when I heard they were having the juvenile, like what do you do with the kids, right? When both mom and dad are in jail, what do you do with the kids? That is a terrifying thing for the kids and for the mom and dad, for everybody. I'm thinking, well, how can you determine what you do with the kids? First, don't you have to determine what, anyhow, it sounds like everything, at least for now, as Matt said, best case scenario. So I feel a sense of relief. There was a lot of speculation and even conspiracy theories over the weekend. I tried not to indulge or engage with those. It's 1:04 Eastern Time. There's a few more super chats I'm just going to whip through, and then I'll say goodbye, and then I'm going to invite folks to do a super cut of all the Millie stuff, and we'll put that up as an update. So we broke in and out of that a few times. We can eliminate the non-Millie super chats from that. So it'll probably be half an hour all in length if we can get the editors to do that. We'll put that up as an update on the GoFundMe page, because there's 2,600 people who are extremely curious, as am I. So isn't that good news? I'm going to whip through some super chats now, and then I'll say goodbye, and then I got to get on to some other things here. I'm going to stand by for a call or email from Millie, whether that's tonight or frankly even tomorrow, whenever it comes. And I look forward to just, handing that over to her. And now that she's out and her common law husband are out, they don't need my involvement anymore. I give full credit to Matt, who is a family friend on the ground, and he was really working all weekend to get things going, so congratulations to him. All right, let's whip through some of these things here. Daviator, $5. Thank you, Rebel, for your continued efforts to provide truth in the media. Just contributed to Millie, so here's a coffee for you, Ezra. Hey, let's watch that Millie clip that I've been delaying. Look at it. Here's my favorite Millie moment. Take a look at this.
To take you over here with me to the Trump supporter side, and maybe you can show me if there is racism over here that I should be concerned about. He wants to know if he's going to be safe inside there if he goes.
Yeah, come on in. You go with us.
We'll welcome you with open arms.
Hey, you guys almost changing me around. Hold on, a few more, I might change my mind. I don't see enough of me to represent with me here.
Hey, you're with us. That's all that matters, brother.
This don't black white don't mean shit.
Now I'm gonna go over with the demonstrators with him, and he's gonna follow me around and see if I get treated with love and tolerance.
Little fucking Nazi bitch.
Yeah, no one can hear what you're saying. You can, bitch. How do we become blind? To take you.
Isn't that great? Wasn't that great? It takes a little bit of courage to go right out like that, and a good humor also. And I mean, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? All right, I got a couple more super chats and I'm done. Damon Damas, $10. I don't like you that much all the time, Ezra, but there was a Sudanese migrant that hacked a South African doctor to death last week in Red Deer. Thanks for the news. Okay. I don't think I understand your message, but I don't know if we covered that news. I don't know if Kian did. We didn't cover that news? I think we did some tweets. I don't think we did a video news story. Sneaky Beaver, $5. White YouTube band David Icke. Nice haircut, Ezra. Bon travail, mon cher. You know what? I looked at myself in the mirror today, which, by the way, is harassment under our corporate policy. So first of all, I had half an hour of paperwork filing a leering complaint against myself because I was absolutely leering. Because I come out of the shower, so I don't have my glasses on, so I'm like squinting at myself, and I catch a glimpse, and I go like that, and it wasn't like it wasn't even voluntary. It was like a reaction. So I'm leering, and it was obviously casting aspersions. So I half an hour went by. Filing the paperwork for a sexual harassment claim against myself. I filed those sexual harassment claims against myself just so I think someone's interested in me. You know, it's like sending yourself flowers on Valentine's Day. Well, someone finds me attractive. It was you, Ezra. You were leering at yourself. Yeah. You see, I'm a person. And then I thought, you know what? I got to do something about this. How do I lose 20 ugly pounds quickly? Haircut, haircut, haircut. So now I'm like a toy girl. Lisa Proust, or Proust. Thank you, Ezra, for being the only one always defending our rights and giving us visibility of all that is intended to be hidden. Thank you. Well, you know, I really like that old song. I don't think Johnny Cash wrote it, but he sang it well. You can run on for a long time. You know that one, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, God will cut you down. And there's a line in there, what's done in the dark will be brought to the light. Obviously a Bible phrase, as I'm just guessing that. What's done in the dark will be brought to the light. Is that from the Bible? Yeah. Yeah. Luke 12. What's done in the darkness will come to light. Of course it is. That's sort of what we do around here. That's sort of what we do. I think I've got one more super chat and then I'm out of here. Bombastic Bushkin. $5. Beautifully done, Ezra. Millie and family deserved our support. What did you say, Justin? Okay, Mad Cow Mark, $5 Australian. I'm just giving you $5, no reason. You know what? That's okay. I just got to turn that into some business where I sit here, talk about sexually harassing myself, and people give me $5 for no reason. I could do that all day. That's a nice way to live. Folks, we're going to end it at 1:10 with a dog video. As you know, I do not see these dog videos before they're put on air. They are Justin's curation, but I think he's got pretty good judgment when it comes to dog videos. So I'll say goodbye to you now. I'll see you at 8 p.m. Eastern for my paywall show. Here's a dog video. See you later.